engaging critical thinking through literature, we are gonna look at, especially, so this topic is especially close to my heart because it's not just about teaching books, it's about how to make the learners think with those books. It's about teaching how to think with the books. So, and in a world where information as well as misinformation is overflowing, this skills becomes very vital. So before we get started with today's session, I have seen few hands are raised. So Preeti ma'am, would you like to say something? I see your hand is raised. Okay, Meenakshi ma'am, yes, please go ahead. Yes, good evening, all of you. Okay, okay, no questions then. All right. So I really want the session to be really interactive where you exchange your ideas, your thoughts, we discuss things. So it should not be a one-way, rather a two-way communication. Okay. So, all right. So before we get started, what do you mean by critical thinking, especially in literature? If someone is willing to say that, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak up.
Brainstorming.
Yes, brainstorming. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Megha ma'am. Yes, Veena ma'am. Veena ma'am, you're trying to say something? You're on mute.
Ma'am, self-analysis.
Yes, that also comes under critical thinking, correct? Thank you, ma'am. Using logic and reasoning to understand. Okay, there are many answers in the chat box as well. Logical thinking. Okay. Logic and reasoning to understand and solve problems, correct? Okay, so what I understand, we all have some idea related to what is critical thinking when it comes to literature. Cool. So now let's move on to the next slide to see today's objectives. So let's get crystal clear about what we are going to accomplish in our time together today. So these objectives will be our roadmap, and I promise that each one will, give you practical takeaways you can use immediately in your classroom. All of these objectives we are gonna look at today. So first, we will uncover why literature is uniquely powerful for developing critical thinking. It's not just about analyzing text; it's about how stories train minds to question, to evaluate, and see multiple perspectives. Then, secondly, we will move beyond basic comprehension questions to explore high impact questioning techniques and activities that push students from what happened to why does it matter and how does this connect to your personal life, like some of you mentioned. So, thirdly, we will tackle a universal challenge: how to engage all the students, especially those who rarely speak up. Because critical thinking is not about who talks the loudest, it is about creating space for every voice. Then, finally, we will put it all together by co creating a lesson framework you can adapt for any text. So, this will be your ready to use takeaway. So with this, just a minute. Yes. So with this, let's look at what is basically critical thinking in literature. So it's more than just remembering the plot points. Though I will admit, when a student finally remembers who killed a particular character, so for example, who killed King Duncan, it does feel like a win. Okay, we remember whatever happened in the story. But true critical thinking digs deeper. It's when students move beyond what happened to ask, why did it happen? So why was King Duncan killed? Like, how did he die? So things like this. What if it had gone differently. Then students analyze the hidden layers, not just characters' actions, but their motives, not just the themes, but how the author, how the author crafts them through symbols, structure, or even silence between the dialogues or whatever. So all of these nuances should be taken care of. Then questioning, comparing, and connecting to other texts, to history, or to their own lives. So that is when a story becomes a catalyst for critical thinking. So I hope all of you do, if not all, at least some of these, or some of these techniques you follow in your classes. If yes, I would like to know how. So in the chat, you can share a book that you have taught where students surprised you with their critical thinking insights. And if you pose some of these kind of questions, if yes, what are they, and how your students responded to them, I would love to know more about it. So you can either unmute yourself or send it in the chat box. Any topic where you did adapt this critical thinking, and what were your questions for, how did your students surprise you with their responses? Application based questions on Macbeth. And may I know what kind of questions you asked, Bernali ma'am? Okay, there are many answers in the chat box. Okay, the third level. Okay, so in third level, okay, so how did you tackle this? I just don't want to know the name of the chapters, but I would really appreciate if you share your techniques or questions which you pose them, or how your students responded. Anything like this will, enlighten the whole, all the members. We will be enlightened with some ideas. So, okay, but still nice to know the question types, open ended. Okay, when kids start learning Python for the first time. Okay. Okay, there's a question. Like after the chapter, we make questions like, if you would be at the place of main character, how would you change the end? Awesome, awesome. This is really nice. Varsh sir, thank you so much. This is really nice technique. For class 10, for class 12, enemy students were asked if they were in Sadav's position, what would have they done? Yeah, correct. Okay, great. Okay. That become mystery chapter with a different twisted end. Okay, great. All of these are different ways to carry out critical thinking in our learners. If you would have, okay, okay. Practical possibilities, accepted views and contradictions. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Yes. Anyone would like to speak up by unmuting themselves? Yes, Veena ma'am.
Ma'am, recently I have taught the students the chapter that the importance of being earnest. In that chapter, the two aspects of of the society has been discussed. In one sentence, the one person is saying that about the brother, that he was so bad, he was so he was you, maybe he had made you shameful. But later on, when the protagonist, he said that my brother has died, suddenly the viewpoint of the person has changed. He started saying, your brother was so nice, he was so good. Then I asked the student that, can you please tell me that what is going on in these two sentences? Suddenly the prospect of the that first person has changed. The few of the students, they immediately told the hypocrisy of the society. They self analyzed it, and they started saying that when the person was alive, the negative, they were talking about negative, and later on when he was dead, the suddenly they changed their perspectives and they started talking in a positive way.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Veena ma'am. That was a great insight. Yeah, awesome. Okay, there are some more answers from Bernali ma'am in the chat box. A different title to the story. How far is it relevant? Comparison of characters, not only characters, themes, events, either in the same text or across different texts, written by different authors or same authors, comparison of authors or poets' perspective. All of these things come under critical thinking. Yes, how does a character emerge as a tragic hero? Yeah, right. So they are actually connecting the dots between the events that take place in the character's life. Okay, great, great, awesome. I really love your responses. Thank you all for sharing. It was nice looking at your responses. So what based on all the responses, what we gathered is critical thinking in literature is not a skill we tack on. It's the lens we teach students to use while reading. So the best part is when they start applying it outside the book too, like in real life. So for example, if they have learned something in the book and they go outside of the classroom or wherever and they relate to it whatever they find outside their classes and all. So that's a great thing if your students are able to do that. Then let's explore why literature is uniquely powerful for developing critical thinkers. So, unlike maths problems with single right answers, first, literature allows more than one interpretation. When students read a poem or a story, they often see different meanings, and that's a good thing. It helps them understand that not everything has just one answer, or just one answer is not correct or incorrect. There can be multiple interpretations, there can be multiple meanings, different layers can be there. Second, stories often have problems, symbols, dilemmas, strong emotions. So readers are invited to ask, why did the character do that? Or what does that symbol mean? These questions naturally push students to think deeper. They will analyze the text to, draw conclusions about the character's actions, or how a character is feeling at a particular point of time, or how was his reaction, how you anticipated his or her reaction. So, and how is it different? So all of these things come under critical thinking. Third, literature encourages reflection and empathy. So when students connect with characters from different places or situations, they start to understand different points of view. And that's a big part of thinking critically. And they just don't understand the different points of view, they also start gaining tolerance. They start having tolerance for different viewpoints. They understand that okay, we all are different, and it's okay, it's natural to be different. We Not everyone in a particular society might have the same choices regarding to with regard to food or clothes, and so on and so forth. Every religion is different, everybody has different insights, and so on and so forth. So students start having that empathy and tolerance for every member in the society, which is really important. Finally, it supports higher order thinking. So the top levels of Bloom's taxonomy, like they analyze, they evaluate, and even create. So whether they are comparing characters, debating an ending, or writing their own version of the story. Okay. uh, or writing their own version of the story. So literature is not just about reading, it's about thinking, it's about feeling and questioning. So all of these things are important, are taken care when we are dealing with critical thinking in literature. Then the next slide will talk about some strategies. So this is strategy 1, that is asking better questions. So one of the easiest ways to build critical thinking is by changing the type of questions we ask. So instead of stopping at factual questions like who is the main character, where is the story set, so basically the main character and setting, we move towards deeper, open ended questions. So you can ask questions like, what do you think this thing symbolizes? Or was this decision justified? Or how would you change, or like how would the story change if this character made a different choice? So some of these things, few of you already mentioned in the chat box while replying, so great that you already did that. But for others, these are really helpful when you try to build critical thinking in your students. So these kind of questions require students to infer, evaluate, and imagine. So they also help students to move beyond surface level understanding. So our goal is not just surface level understanding. We want them to infer what is there in the text. We want them to infer some information which is not directly given in the text. So few things are not directly given. We have to read a line and we have to understand its implications. Then they have to evaluate, they have to judge as well as imagine. So all these things build their critical thinking skills. So I would give a good tip. Use question, that stems from like how, why, and what if, all these questions, because these naturally open the door to reflection and discussion. So you can have frequent discussions in your classroom regarding any text that you're dealing with, instead of teacher just giving away the explanation of a particular topic or chapter. You can have students conduct group discussions or peer share or think pair share, anything. Then actually the goal is to get students thinking, not just recalling what has happened or just recalling the past events. So often the best questions don't have one right answer, and if they're willing to contribute in the discussions, that is what we want. That is awesome, I would say. Okay, so yeah, then so here, let's bring this to life with a quick case study. So Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken. I hope all of you know this poem. So here's the final stanza that many of us know it. So I'll just read these few lines. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now, when you read this, you can ask a literal recall question like, what did the speaker do when he saw two roads? So this checks basic understanding. He made a choice. The speaker made a choice between the two roads. But if we want to deepen their thinking, we go a level further. So why does he describe the road as less traveled? Do you think it actually was less traveled? So you can ask these kind of questions to your students, because this makes students revisit the earlier lines where both roads are said to be really about the same. If you remember this phrase, really about the same, the speaker mentions this. So they are taken back to the earlier lines and they compare. So this actually invites interpretation, a key part of critical thinking. So interpreting the information is really important, and we are doing it by discussing these kind of questions. So apart from these, we should also look at some higher order questions. So questions like, do you think the speaker is proud, regretful, or uncertain? If yes, why? What could the word sigh suggest? Comment or regret? And finally, to make it personal, you can ask questions like, can you connect this idea of choices to a real life decision you or someone you know has faced? So when you make it personal by connecting the text to their real life, they feel more happy to share things about their personal life, and they are using the language, they are building their critical thinking skills. All of various things are happening at a time, and I have seen this difference when we ask questions literally from the textbook. They don't feel enthusiastic to share. Rather, when we ask some questions related to their life, their family, friends, whatever, or there is this making connection thing, and they are super overjoyed to share their ideas. So we can leverage that by doing these kind of discussions, by asking these kind of questions, because these questions do more than just explore a poem. They build analysis, they build reflection and empathy, exactly what we aim for in a literature classroom. So till here, if anyone has to share something, want to discuss something, I would love to know your perspectives. Okay, I guess there's no questions. All right. So next, we'll move on to our second strategy, that is shifting perspectives. So literature naturally invites us to step into someone else's shoes. So why not go further and retell events from a different character's viewpoint? So like some of you already mentioned this. So if you were in the character's place, what would you have done differently? So similarly, you can retell events from a different character's viewpoint. So you can ask your students questions like, what would the antagonist say here? So before reaching that particular part, you ask your students, what would the antagonist say here? Then you can also talk about how would this scene look from a minor character's eyes. So these are different ways through which you can engage the learners, because these questions spark empathy and force students to consider motives, biases, and untold stories. So we can do something. You can think of a story or a poem that you teach regularly, and you can ask yourself who is a side character that could give a fresh perspective. So, for example, what would the wolf say in Little Red Riding Hood? So, or how would Benvolio tell the story of Romeo and Juliet? So you can think of such a story or poem or drama, whatever that you teach, and just ask yourself who is a side character that could give a fresh perspective to the entire narrative. You can type in the chat box, or you can uh, raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak up. Yes, I hope you do teach. I mean, you all of you are English teachers, so you do teach literature. So any story or poem where you can adapt this. Okay. Any answers in the chat box? Okay. All right. No problem. Fine. I'll just continue if you don't want to share anything. Fine. Actually, by doing this, the simple shift turns a familiar text into a critical thinking tool. So without needing a new resource for that. So and this also encourages creativity. It deepens comprehension and broadens students' understanding of character, theme, and point of view. Everything. So that's why these kind of questions, these kind of different perspectives are important as such. Okay, so next we will talk about connecting literature to real life. So, and this is where critical thinking really takes off. So, most great texts explore, universal themes like justice, power, laws, courage, resilience. So, these themes still matter, and students connect deeply when they see that. So, you can encourage students to ask, what does the story say about our world today? If there is some relevance between these, or how does this relate to something I have experienced or seen in the news. So, for example, if you are teaching war poetry, by Wilfred Owen or anyone, and they read that particular poetry, and then they see the same news in the TV, and they are able to connect to it. So that is really helpful. You can also take the diary of Anne Frank, beyond the historical document. It becomes a way to explore identity, fear, resilience, all of these things. So you can ask students like, oh, where do we see similar struggles today? So in displaced communities, online bullying, or social isolation, where do we see these similar struggles today? You can ask these students to relate to their real life by teaching few text similar to it. Because when students reflect on characters, challenges, and relate it to their own or someone else's, that's critical thinking in action. It's not just about the story, it's about the why behind it and what it means for us now. So that is something that is dealt with here. Then strategy 4 is all about handling the reins over to students through student-centered discussions like literature circles or Socratic seminars. So I hope you do these kind of things like literature circles or Socratic seminars, because in these formats, students take on roles like there will be a questioner who asks thought-provoking questions. There will be a clarifier who explains confusing parts, and there will be a connector who links the story to real life or other text. So this approach this approach basically does three powerful things, which are,
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to
yes,
interrupt you, but that was very beautiful. Can you just repeat this approach? I really found it very intriguing.
yes. So you can do literature circles or Socratic seminars, wherein students will take on different roles. So one student will take up the role of a questioner, where he or she will ask thought-provoking questions, and there will be a clarifier who will explain the confusing part, and there will be a connector who links the story to real life or to other text. So there will be these kind of literature circles or Socratic seminars where three members will participate, and everyone will take different roles. So like this, you can have many such circles in your classroom. Is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, why is this approach helpful? Because it does three things. Number one, it encourages ownership as students lead the discussion or conversation, whatever. It encourages ownership. Then it builds confidence, because even the quieter learners find their voice. Because there might be a student who feel who hesitates to answer in the whole classroom, in front of the whole classroom where there are numerous students. But if there are only three people in their group, even the silent people or quiet learners, they will also feel confidence to share their insights. Then it also creates accountability, as every role matters. Every role, whether it's a questioner or a clarifier or a connector, they feel accountable for their role, because they are doing something meaningful and they have that accountability. So they will do it with full details and all. Because so instead of doing all the talking, students explore, students reflect and challenge each other. And that is where real critical thinking begins, when they explore, reflect, and challenge each other. So I would like to know if any of you do these things in your classroom, not just this, or any other strategy that you include in your classrooms to foster critical thinking. You can unmute yourself and share.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening,
Yeah,
ma'am.
this is Zommehani from Abu Dhabi Indian School. I just want to add a point over here that when we teach a story, when the story ends, we try to just give them an option. If the ending is not like, if it is not in this kind of scenario, what would have been the other end of the story? How will be the climax? Like this, we initiate. I think I'm unable to hear you. I was audible.
Unmute yourself, ma'am.
Uh, Excuse me, did you hear?
Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes,
We
I
heard you,
have.
ma'am. Yeah, we heard you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I lost the last part. What did you say, Umehani ma'am? What is it?
Yeah, actually, so it was about the story, how the story is having the climax. Okay, so we just like encourage the students to imagine that the story will not end in this way. What would have been like? You imagine how you want the story to be ended,
Yeah.
or yeah, in this way we encourage.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful, ma'am. Thank you. So I hope when we pose these kind of questions to our students, I hope they are also coming up with insightful responses with different viewpoints. Okay, all right. So fine. Thank you. Now, we'll look at the next strategy, that is right to think. So we often think of writing as a final step, but it's actually a powerful tool for thinking itself. So you can try using critical response prompts like, do you agree with the character's choice? What message is the author really sending through this point or through this entire story, whatever? So you can ask, you can give these kind of critical response prompts to the learners and see how they are responding, because these prompts invite students to go beyond the surface and they really engage with ideas. So writing does not always mean long essays. You can use journals for reflection, quick paragraphs or quick exit slips. You can even use social media style posts like characters tweet or Instagram caption, like a character did something, so tweet something from the character's point of view. Because if we only talk about essays and articles and writing letters, so they might sometimes feel the task to be really lengthy, and we can also do this to save our time. If we are running out of time, we can do this. Just write a tweet from a character's point of view. This will save our time, as well as that critical thinking thing will also happen. So, okay, now take a moment to think of one powerful question you can ask in your next class, just whichever chapter you're dealing with, to spark that deeper thought. So you can think about it, and later I'll see whatever responses you provide. Okay, so next. So let's be honest. We all have asked a great question in class, and we have been met with silence. So, how do you usually respond when your classroom goes quiet? So, before we discuss these strategies, I would like to know, how do you respond?
We change the
When you
question
pose a
framing.
question? Yes, Monica ma'am.
Ma'am, we often change the framing of the question, or give them another option, some stimuli, listening to which they'll probably get our answer question, the meaning, actual meaning of the question, or what we require from them.
Right, right. Yes, okay. Thank you, Monica ma'am.
Sometimes I also, when the question, I will try to take a very easiest question which already the children knows, and try to say it oppositely. In short, if I say in short, like wrongly, then immediately the class will wake up and say, no, no, ma'am, this is not correct. So in this way also we can.
Yes, awesome, awesome. There are some responses in the chat box as well. Prompts, yeah, prompts. We should ask probing questions to think, so that they think to arrive at the actual answer. Some reframe it in an interesting way, right? Prompting, then prompt children to answer by giving them small hints or simpler questions from real life. Then always try to discuss the pros and cons of every matter. Okay, students are asked to get contextual and background information of a particular chapter or lesson, for example. Background talks about experience. Okay, yeah, so great, great. Yes, Priya ma'am, you want to add something? Priya ma'am, I see your hand is raised. You want to add something? Okay, maybe by mistake. But yeah, so all of these are really beautiful strategies which we can adopt to make even the silent learners speak in classes. So, what I gathered is silence is not failure, it's an invitation to slow down, to rethink our approach, and give students space. So, based on your responses, we can arrive at this conclusion that silence is an invitation where teachers should slow down, rethink their approach, and give students some space to understand and reflect. So, what can we do? We can, do some strategies such as, okay, yeah, so we can adapt some strategies such as use, think, pair, share. So instead of cold calling, if students, when we adapt, think, pair, share, this thing actually lets the students to process and build confidence before speaking, because they are not directly speaking in front of the whole classroom where there are 40, 50, whatever students. They are just discussing with their partner, with their seatmates, and then they will share their insight in front of the entire class. So this thing gives them that confidence to speak. And then you can reframe your questions, like many of you responded, reframing questions. So what you can do, you can try something like, what would you do in that situation? This makes it personal and not academic, very academic, and it is also more inviting. So you can reframe these kind of questions to this kind, where they are able to connect it to their personal life. And then you can also offer choices. So some learners may prefer to write, some learners may prefer to draw or speak. So giving options actually reduces pressure and it builds inclusion, because all the learners are included in the activity, whatever you are conducting. All the learners are participating in some way or the other, either they're writing or they're drawing or speaking. And doing this, we are also catering to the multiple intelligences of the learners. Then we can acknowledge silence positively. So instead of rushing to fill it, you can try saying, it's okay to think, take a moment, we are not in a hurry. So just give them the space to think, to understand whatever has happened or whatever we are asking, whatever the past events were there in the story, so that they get that time to connect the dots before answering. So we should acknowledge silence in a very positive way. And finally, we can use exit slips for private reflection. So, because this gives quieter students a voice, just in a different form, but it gives them a voice. They can understand that, okay, I have done this, I have understood this thing, okay, now I'm ready to move on to the next part. So, this helps it in, this helps in this way. Then designing a critical thinking literature lesson. So here we are gonna bring all these strategies together into one lesson framework. So here is an example using the road not taken. So pre-reading, what can you do? You can start with a big universal question: what choices define us? So this can be your pre-reading. And this also sets the stage for a personal connection before the poem even begins. So they don't know what is like inside the poem what they are going to read about or what they're going to learn about. They don't know that. And before that only we are connecting what is the motive of giving pre-reading session. In our next curriculum books also, every chapter begin with a pre-reading session or time to think session. So when we have these time to think session, we are actually trying to engage the learners with whatever is gonna come in that particular chapter, either that or to connect it with their real lives. Yes, Yumita ma'am, I see your hand is raised. You want to add something?
Yes, ma'am. To add to what you have already said, for those quiet learners who hesitate, who show inhibition to take part in the classroom activities, especially, so and also to encourage silent reflections. So in our classrooms, what we in our school, we generally what we do is um, concerning the topic, if they have hesitation to take part in the class, so we ask them to um, go back home, take some time, do the reflection on the topic taught, and they can make a small video in the convenience of their room using the help of the, of course, making use of the technology, and they can bring that video clip of them talking about the topic, giving their or expressing their opinion on the topic, and bring it to the classroom, and we can watch together in the smart board. That way, also their participation can be encouraged, if not directly, of course, with the help of the technology that is used, but nonetheless, participation is ensured.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Yumita ma'am. That's a great perspective. We can give them space not only in the classroom, but we can also let them take it to their home and then let them think and reflect on it. And obviously, we can use technology in teaching. And when we use technology, it actually helps them. When you compare a student coming in the classroom and speaking directly in front of their learners, versus when they make a video of it and we see it in the classroom, it actually encourages not only that particular learner but also the other learners to, it actually inspires them to speak more, to share their perspective, because they feel like, okay, we will also, like our video will also be shown in the smart board or whatever, and everybody will see us speaking. So that is so great. So yeah, thank you, Yumita ma'am. Okay, I see some other hands raised. Yes, Vivek sir, please go ahead. Vivek sir. Okay, Krishna, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
Actually, especially when we are talking that it's quite monotonous or quiet class, then if we can relate the topic with their personal life experiences, so that what I have felt that it actually works. That okay, fine, whether you have faced such situation or can you connect yourself with the thing which we are discussing right now. So it actually also works a lot, and then students will start participating, and they will also start taking interest in what we are teaching or what we want to convey. So I think that also works. I have tried it several times.
Right. Great. Great to know that you all, apply these techniques in your classes to achieve great results and build interest among your learners. So yeah, thank you, Krishna ma'am, for sharing. Okay, so let's move on. So that was pre-reading. Then what you can do during reading, ask students to mark different literary devices like metaphors, similes. You can also ask them to mark tone shifts or any surprising word choices. So this encourages close reading and invites multiple interpretations. There are several things which we can do while reading. So it's based upon the classes that we are dealing with. So for example, if it's primary grades, we can do something like guided reading. We can ask them to repeat after us. We should basically focus on pronunciation and all, and then mainly making connections. So for example, if there is a story where a child is introducing herself or himself, then you can ask them to focus on the nouns or verbs and then use them to apply in their own life or make a sentence, or different things we can do based on the grades that we are dealing with. If you are dealing with some higher grades, then we can obviously talk about the different literary uh, devices which are there, or if there is a shift in the tone. Or you can also ask about the rationale of the author behind finding or selecting a particular title for the story. What was the rationale of the author? So you can ask about different things. Or if there is any surprising word choice, like instead of using any regular word, some weird word, out of context word, if that author has chosen, why is it so? So you can deal with a plethora of things while dealing with reading and building their creative critical thinking. Then comes post reading. Now, post reading is a time when you ask for reflection and evaluation from the learners. So it's a time for reflecting and evaluative thinking. So you can ask, like, is the narrator satisfied or regretful? So this is somewhere they are reflecting, they're evaluating the emotions of the narrator or speaker, whatever. And then how does this poem, reflect a decision that you have made or might make someday? So this way we are again connecting it to their own life and building their critical thinking. And this bridges the literary with the personal, so which is the heart of critical thinking. So by doing all these things, we are also building their interest along with critical thinking. So you can think about a text that you regularly teach, and you can write two open-ended critical thinking questions for that text, and you can drop it in the chat, or you can share by unmuting yourself. So some kind of open-ended questions. So I know you already have shared a lot, but still, if some have not answered, I am hoping that there are 251 members here. If someone else answers, there are many who haven't answered yet. So it's nice to participate. Anyone who hasn't answered yet, or don't think of it as answering or something. It's just participating, contributing in a discussion. Take it in a very positive way. So it's better if you speak up, or because we also encourage our students to speak up in classes. So we as teachers should also do that, right? So yeah, any open-ended questions that you are thinking to pose? Yes, Veena ma'am, you have already answered, but okay, yeah, please go ahead. Yes, Veena ma'am. Veena ma'am, I see your hand is raised. You want to answer?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Ma'am, suppose if I have to teach the student the last leaf, the story, the last leaf. Before teaching the story, I will ask the students that tell me what is the meaning of, or what do you understand by the phrase hope sustains life? Hope sustains life. Definitely the student, they will give the different type of answers based on the same theme, and then I'll start teaching them the chapter.
Okay.
That's it, ma'am.
Yes. Great. I really appreciate how Veena ma'am is, contributing throughout the session. It's really nice. Thank you, Veena ma'am. I really appreciate your participation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, Vrinda ma'am. Vrinda ma'am. Vrinda ma'am, I see your hand is raised. Are you willing to answer? She might be facing some issue. Okay, no problem. Fine. So now we'll look at the next slide. where we are kind of quickly wrapping, we will quickly recap whatever we have discussed. So the 5 core strategies that we explored today, so each of them plays a distinct role in promoting critical thinking through literature. So number one is asking better questions. So this deepens analysis, moving beyond what happened to why and how. This pushes students to think more creatively and critically. Secondly, shift perspectives. When students step into the shoes of other characters, especially minor ones, it builds empathy and encourages nuanced understanding. Then we also discussed real life links. So connecting literary themes to real world issues or personal experiences increases relevance. It helps students see why the story matters. Then students led discussions. So whether through literature circles or Socratic seminars, giving students roles and responsibility encourages ownership of their learning. Then reflective writing. So writing about their thoughts, choices, interpretations reinforces thinking. It shows them, it slows them down just enough to make meaning stick. So the meaning is going to stick with them throughout, or maybe at least for a long time. So these strategies are, simple, flexible, and powerful. You don't need a new text or any new resource to try them. Just a shift in how you use the text you already teach. That shift, by making that shift, you are good to go with, encouraging critical thinking among your learners. So, as we discussed today's seminar, webinar, you would have seen few screenshots from our next curriculum books. So these screenshots, these pictures basically show how we in our books are also trying to foster critical thinking among the students. So in next curriculum books, there are mainly 2 course books where we discuss literature, all the skills, LSRWGV, that is listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar, vocabulary. And while dealing with literature, you would see like every chapter consists of like it begins with one pre-reading session, and then where we connect the learners to whatever is there in the text. Either we do that or we make them connected to their own lives. So for example, I would start with an example. In grade 1, the first chapter we have is for example, Millie's scrapbook. So grade 1 students might not know what a scrapbook is, and how can they read about or understand something related to scrapbook. For that, in the pre-reading session, we have given a picture of scrapbook. We have talked about how you can draw, paste different things, or just write about different things in a scrapbook. We have given a picture, and then we ask the students to make their own scrapbook by selecting whatever things they want, like maybe some like their favorite flower, some leaf, or anything that they want to like paste or draw. They can do that. After that, we are dealing with the reading section, where we are reading about about a character who is introducing herself. Now see, grade 1 learners, they do not know about nouns and all. So every chapter in this book, every chapter consists of pre-reading, reading, and then after reading we deal with reflection, that is post-reading. Then we deal with vocabulary, we deal with grammar, pronunciation, or phonics based on the grade, and writing, speaking, listening. All of these things are taken care of in every chapter. So when you are dealing with first chapter, for example, here, when we are dealing with this chapter, this character is showing her scrapbook while introducing herself and her family. Now, these students do not know about nouns, but in this chapter, in the grammar section, we are going to talk about nouns. So what you can do is, you can, while you're dealing with this chapter, while reading the lines, you can talk about, how these are naming words, and you can ask them to connect it with their life by asking them questions related to their friend's name. So for example, if that character is, talking about, hi, my name is Millie, I love to paint, or something, then she's talking about there's a picture of her mother. She's talking about how her mother loves to, do a certain thing. For example, loves to sing or something. So you also ask them, what do you like to do, or what does your mother like to do? And then she's also introducing different professions. She's talking about how her father is a banker. He works in a bank. And then there are obviously word meanings are there, because we do not expect a grade 1 student to understand what a banker means, obviously. So there are these explanations are also provided. But apart from that, we can ask students to talk about their family profession. So we can, I think Yukti ma'am or someone said that you can give them the task to take the task at home, and think about it, reflect. So they can take it home. They can ask their parents, interact with their parents, ask how whatever professions they're in, what they do, and then next class they can talk about it. So this way we can also make them connect to their own life, whatever is there in the text. And as we move on to the higher grades, we can obviously talk about critical thinking. We can obviously talk about how to think with whatever is given in the text. Like, do you think this thing was justified? Do you think the ending was justified? Or do you think the author or the character did the right thing by doing xyz? So like these, based on the grade level of the learners, we can decide what we want to do, like what we want our students to think about in a text, and how to engage with the text, basically. So on that note, as the author like C.S. Lewis said, that we read to know we are not alone. And that's exactly why we teach literature, not just for language, but for life. And when we move beyond facts and help students reflect, question, and connect, we are no longer just delivering content. We are shaping thinkers. So we are helping them move from simply consuming information to creating meaning from it. So here's a small but powerful step to take forward. In every literature discussion, try to ask one inferential question, if not more, something that invites interpretation, and one evaluative question at least, something that encourages judgment or reflection. And just watch, you will see how your classroom becomes more thoughtful, more alive, and more deeply connected to the text and to each other as well. So yeah, so I hope you all are willing to make this change in the way you teach literature starting tomorrow, to encourage deeper thinking. So if there is any particular approach that you can think of, you can drop it in the chat. And yeah, so apart from that, thank you all for joining today's session on encouraging critical thinking through literature, from reading to reflective. It's been truly inspiring to explore how literature can become a powerful tool, not just for reading, but for shaping thoughtful, empathetic learners. But before we part, I would really appreciate your feedback. It helps us grow and design more meaningful sessions for educators like you. So the feedback link has been shared in the chat box. So please do take a minute to fill it in. And I would also request you all to follow us on our social media handles, Facebook and LinkedIn. Links for which are also share. Okay, I'm gonna share those links in the chat box. So this will actually help you to be updated with all the wonderful sessions that we conduct in the future. So I'll quickly share that link as well.
Ma'am,
Okay,
feedback
that
form
link has been
isn't
shared.
opening.
Link is not opening. Which link, ma'am?
Feedback form link.
Feedback form link is not opening. Okay. Um, is it same for others as well?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am,
it's
it's
not
not
opening.
working. It's not working.
Yes, ma'am. The link is not opening. It shows it
Yes,
continued.
ma'am, it's not working.
Okay. I'll look into it. Wait.
Ma'am, it's opening. I'm working on it.
It did, Ananya. I have submitted. For some, it is opening. For some, it is not. Perhaps.
Okay, so social media team, can you please take care of
Yeah,
this one?
sure.
It's not
Sorry
opening.
for the inconvenience. Those who are not able to open the form, so kindly check your internet
Ma'am,
connection.
kindly send the link again.
Kindly check your internet connection. Otherwise, you will have to copy the link and open it in new tab. That will work.
Sir, can you send the link again?
Yeah, sure.
The link, again, it has been reshared, and it is also pinned in the chat box, so you can quickly find it. Yes, Veena Devi, ma'am, I find your hand is raised. Do you want to share something, Veena ma'am? Okay, so those who have filled the chat, feedback link and leave the meeting. So thank you so much once again. Thank you for your time, your energy, and most importantly, thank you for your commitment to nurturing young minds. So wishing you many rich, reflective discussions in your classrooms ahead. And yeah, have a wonderful day.
मैडम लिंक ओपन नहीं हो रहा है.
That is opening, ma'am. You will have to open it on next tab.
Excuse me, sir. The link is open and I've filled the feedback form. How can we get our certificate of the same?
Tomorrow we will get the certificate, ma'am.
Okay, by tomorrow. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you for connecting.
Excuse me, ma'am. I didn't. I am Divya Chandresh from MC Keshiwal. I did not get my previous certificates.
Those who filled the feedback form, I have sent the certificate.
Sir,
Bec-
last two I have filled the feedback form.
Yeah, ma'am. Please share your email ID. I will check on our database. If,
Okay, thank you, sir.
yeah,
Sir, should I share in the chat box
uh, yeah, you can
or,
share.
or in the WhatsApp group through WhatsApp I can send?
Yeah, through WhatsApp you can share. Then it will be better.
Okay, so the group which we have there only I am writing my queries and all and the
Yes.
email address. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.